This week on NBA G League Takeover, the trade that shocked the world. How does the Luka AD swap impact the G? Plus, how a 5'9", 35-year-old is back and cooking. And later, an exclusive interview with MVP candidate Bryce McGowens. All that and more coming up right now on NBA G League Takeover.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Hello and welcome to NBA G League Takeover. I'm Mike Davis. If you love basketball and the NBA, well then you're in the right place. This is the show that explores all the news you need to know about the G League and beyond. Big show this week as Isaiah Thomas is back and tearing up the G. Plus we have an exclusive interview with Bryce McGowens of the Rip City Remix. And of course, we're breaking down the Luka and AD trade and how it impacts the G League. And let's start with just that. It's the trade that shocked the world. NBA players actually took to social media thinking the breaking news report from Shams was phony, even thinking he got hacked. The Mavs shipped off a 25-year-old superstar in Luka Doncic to the Lakers, a guy who took the team to the NBA Finals only a year ago. Now, the Brown, Anthony Davis, goes to Dallas along with Max Christie and a future first-round pick. So let's bring in G League insider Gianna Hearn and 10-year NBA vet CJ Watson. So CJ, what was your initial reaction to the news of this trade when you saw it come up on your phone?
It was just like everyone else. I was super shocked. I thought Shams got hacked. I had to go back and check a couple different sources just to make sure it was true, but obviously it was true. It just let you know that, we never would have thought a player like Luka, of his caliber, all NBA, franchise type player, would get traded. And definitely, is something that I guess was brewing behind the scenes, and everyone else was just shocked, just like everyone else.
Yeah, I think everybody was perplexed because, this is a guy who's a 25-year-old superstar, one of the best players in the league. And Gianna, you've covered this league, the G League, the NBA for so long. Why didn't they test the open market? Why did they just specifically target, it seems like, AD?
Yeah, kind of what CJ was alluding to. Something was going on behind the scenes because a trade like this never happens. I don't think we've seen anything like this, but it's definitely going to shake things up. I think maybe trickling down to the G League. I can't wait to see what happens with the rest of the trade deadline because this wasn't what I was expecting before it ended.
Certainly, and that being said, a guy like Kyler Kelly, a guy we've spoken about here on past Takeover shows, he's now stepping into the limelight, getting the first start of his NBA career with the Mavericks. And in that first start, he dropped a double-double. So Gianna, tell us more about Kelly and why he's primed for a bigger and a critical role as the Mavs regroup and retool.
Well, he's primed because he's 7 feet tall, and they need big guys. That's why they got him in the first place, even when they had Luka. They thought he would be a good piece. And now they need a lot more pieces. And so they're figuring things out. He had 12 points, 11 rebounds. He was 5 of 6 from the field. And so I think a guy like Kyler Kelly, who spent 4 years waiting for his opportunity to get the call up, and then he lands in a place where, a championship contending team, and still many believe it is, he's able to showcase what he can do with his size, his frame, and in this first game, he did all the right things. He was in all the right places. He was there for lobs. He was there for putbacks. I think this was a really good showing for him, even though it was a tough night for the Mavs.
Yeah, of course, a really tough night for them after that trade. It's going to be fascinating seeing Kelly and Lively being able to really play that 5, and now AD can play more of his natural position at the 4. Now, the Mavs and the Lakers weren't the only NBA teams to get in on that trade action. The San Antonio Spurs made a move for De'Aaron Fox. In turn, the 3-team trade sent Zach LaVine and Sidi Sissoko and 3 first-rounders as well as 3 second-rounders to the Sacramento Kings. So meanwhile, Chicago acquired Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter and a first-round pick. So, Gianna, another example of how an NBA trade really impacts a G League roster. Can you break down the wrinkles here when it comes to Sidi Sissoko?
Sidi has not had a lot of playing time in the NBA, and he's been up with the Spurs for a number of games. But when he's been in the G League, he's really had impact. He's averaging 17.5 points per game in the G League, 3.5 rebounds. But this is a 6'8" guy who's 200 pounds. The upside to Sidi Sissoko is why the Spurs liked him. They wanted to groom him into like a 3-and-D guy, which the Kings could use. If you look at the Kings starting roster, 4 out of 5 of those guys are not premier defenders. So when you get Sidi, and we may see him with the Stockton Kings, he can really grow and develop. I don't know where he's going to be, But we're excited to see what CD can do because he hasn't really had the time or the amount of minutes to actually show what he can do and develop.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It's an interesting fall for grace for the Kings after they were really knocking on that championship window just a few seasons ago. So, CJ, any final thoughts on these trades? I'm curious to hear even what you think about LeBron and Luka and that pairing, how they will play together.
I think they'll play great together. I think LeBron's going to teach Luka how to be a professional, how to be a superstar, and just teach him, take him under his wing to get that championship mold. And because he's the future of the Lakers franchise. So also interested to see how Wemby and Fox pair up in San Antonio. I think that's going to be definitely a great pairing for the future. Yeah,
I'd like to see that as well. Any thoughts on his weight? Because I mean that was a big report coming out of Dallas, creeping up to 275 pounds. CJ, I mean, when it comes to just that physical regimen and staying in shape, what's your thoughts on that, having been in those locker rooms, in those situations?
I think that's probably part of the reason that they traded him. Also, they were just maybe sick and tired of him being out of shape, not coming to shape, not taking it professionally. Like I said, I think the Nico Harris, or whatever his name is.
Nico Harrison,
yeah. He said that defense wins championships, and I think everyone knows Luka doesn't play any defense, so maybe they were just sick and tired of it. I'm not sure.
All right, okay. Well, next up, he's the 35-year-old 5'9" guard who made a name for himself, even though he shares a name with a legendary Hall of Famer. Isaiah Thomas is tearing it up in the G League with the Salt Lake City Stars. In 3 games, Thomas is averaging 29.3 points per game and just 31.6 minutes per game. In his debut, he dropped 40 points. Gianna, at 35 years old, it looks like he still has it. How long do you think he really is going to stay in the G before an NBA team comes calling?
I mean, we say this all the time. I think it's situational. What teams need a guard like Isaiah Thomas? That's going to be the big question. But with the numbers that he's putting up, I don't think long. And he showcased that he's played 10 games total in the G League over his career. So he's played 3 different stints in the G League. And each of those stints have only lasted 3 or 4 games. Now he's at 3 games right now. And in his career, he's averaging 34 points when he plays in the G League. So he's not a guy that belongs in the G. I'm just going to say that.
Okay, so then CJ, where do you think a guy like this lands as we're getting into the second half of the season? What type of team could use a guy like Thomas right now?
A team that needs some veteran leadership, maybe to help some young guys, go in there and learn how to be a professional. I would say, Utah would be a great fit for him right now, just to help those young point guards just learn the flow of the game, learn how to be a professional, come in and do work every day in, day out.
All right, I like to hear it. Great stuff, guys. After the break, G League MVP candidate Bryce McGowens joins the show for an interview. Stick around.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumo Tire.
Bryce McGowens, Year 3, Rip City Remix. I started playing basketball probably when I was around 5. My dad was a coach, a high school coach, and my mom was a high school coach, and they both, played in college. So I had the opportunity to grow up in a basketball background, and they're very competitive, and they pushed us since we were younger. Yeah, I would say until then, basketball really controlled, my life, I would say, for the most part. Growing up, AAU teams, through AAU tournaments, high school, middle school, and then, going to college at Nebraska for a year and, end up getting drafted by Charlotte. I would say probably around middle school. That's when I really fell in love with the game. I feel like all those little hours while you're a little kid in the gym just, having fun, it really turned into a passion for me. My mindset was really just, I was motivated, coming in on the 2-way. I feel like, I wanted, trying to get off my 2-way, so just really sticking with, like I said, sticking with my work, trying to do the right things on and off the court. Just work, doing everything, the right way, staying consistent with your work on and off the court, being a good person, being a good teammate, just doing the little things. There's always going to be ups and downs in everything you do. So really just, staying level-minded. Even when you have a bad game, good game, just, staying even, staying positive with your work, and everything will work itself out. Well, I come from a very religious background. My grandfather being a pastor, so really just calling him, staying in the Word of God, calling my family, my friends, my brother, my little sister. So I got a good supporting cast. Yeah, I feel like it's a place where players can grow. It's an opportunity, to get that call up and be at the highest level where of course that's what people grow up want to do, wanting to be, and I feel like it builds confidence within your game and feel who you really are.
All right, Mike Davis here with G League insider Gianna Hearn. So, watching this guy play, silky smooth. He makes it look easy, Gianna. What makes Bryce such a special player in your mind?
I think it's his unselfishness, and you can tell the way he talked, he's so quiet in demeanor, but he's so boisterous and loud when he's playing, and I think that's what makes him special because in his leadership, you don't always see it loudly on the court, but in his play is where he likes to lead the most. And time again, he's been consistent for the G League. That's why he's in the running for this MVP conversation, because he hasn't let up off the gas from tip-off tournament till now. He's averaging 28 points per game. There's no stopping him at this point, and I'm really interested to see if him or J.D. Davison are going to push it full throttle to the end of the season.
This is a guy you've been talking about in all of our production meetings consistently, Bryce McGowens. It sounds like you're almost leaning towards him more so than J.D. If you had to place a bet right now, who do you think it would be?
Oh, why would you put me in that position? I still think it's J.D. But I love Bryce McGowens just because of the player and the person that he is. There's something about him that just makes me want to root for him. And it's not even like he needs my rooting because he's doing a really good job. He's
really easygoing. I just like watching him play. He's got that silky smooth vibe and feel, a beautiful shot as well. So let me ask you this. A guy like Bryce McGowens, he's killing it in the G League. What does his long-term trajectory look like for the NBA? Is this a guy that has a high ceiling? Does he have long-term NBA potential?
He was drafted in 2022, and he's only played 2 seasons now in the G League, so he had some time off. And I think he's just blossoming now, so I don't know if we really know what Bryce McGowens can do fully. But I do think that he can be a rotational player, or at least a backup in the NBA at some point. But I think he needs a little bit more time, and that's why the two-way deal is a perfect situation for him.
And how about the Rip City remix in general and just being in that system, that franchise? Is that a good place for a guy like him to develop?
Of course, because number one, he's the star of that team. It doesn't matter exactly which team in the G League, because any of them you can blossom, but they have given him the rock and they've given him the helm. He is the leader of this Rip City team. So I think it's the perfect place for him because he has opportunity. That's what you need to showcase that you can do things.
All right, opportunity. There you go. We're just getting started here on NBA G League Takeover. After a short break, CJ Watson is going to break down the G League alums crushing it in the NBA. Don't go anywhere.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. Mike Davis here with 10-year NBA vet CJ Watson. So, CJ, let's talk about this guy, Sam Merrill, with the red-hot Cleveland Cavaliers. The G League's former #1 pick just posted a career-high 27 points, hitting 9 3-pointers in just 22 minutes of play off the bench. That's why they call him Sammy Bucket. So, CJ, what do you like about this kid and his game?
I just love his confidence. He's a knockdown shooter. He's going to get a lot of looks from Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, getting a lot of attention, and he's just knocking down the shots. And I think he's playing great. He's going to only up his value, hopefully as they go out deeper into the playoffs and make a championship run.
It's pretty crazy. New coach in Cleveland. They're looking like a totally different team. They've been strong the past few years, but now they're at top of the Eastern Conference. Tell me, what do you see from Cleveland and the Cavs this season and how they're playing in general?
They just have a balanced attack from the inside, outside. Jared Allen's playing good in the middle, blocking shots, playing defense, controlling the paint. Evan Mobley is doing what he does best, handling the ball, getting everybody open looks and finishing around the rim. So I definitely like this team going to the future.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson, great coach there. He's doing a great job there. And Sam Merrill was the guy. He was getting recruited by Stanford and Princeton. He ended up going to Utah State. So it's great to see a sharpshooter like that having success. A #1 pick for the G League, now crushing it in the NBA. But now let's take a closer look at the after effects of this Luka and AD trade. Okay, part of the AD package being sent to Dallas is the young stud, 21 years old to be exact, Max Christie. Now, the 6'5" shooting guard was on a run prior to the trade, playing perhaps the best basketball of his career. In December, Christie averaged 10 points per game. In January, 11 points per game and shooting nearly 40% from three. So CJ, how big of a get and trade piece do you think this was for the Mavs? Were they also really targeting this kid and thinking, we're going to make this trade for Luka, but we want to make sure we get Max Christie?
I think so too. I think definitely, like you said, he's been getting better and better each and every year. I know I watched him a couple times in summer league and just watched this game blossom and grow. And he's going to take them. He's going to give them some effort off the bench, scoring, playing defense, and just a lot of energy. When
a 21-year-old like that, who's really just getting his footing in the league, he ends up getting, traded to a completely new situation. I know you've never been traded in your career, but you've played at a lot of different franchises. What's going through his mind as he's regrouping and now moving to Dallas out of LA?
I think he does have some comfort there because Jay Kidd was his coach at LA, so it's not like he's going to a new coach, a new system,
right,
stuff like that. So at least Jay Kidd knows him, knows what he does, what he doesn't do best. So I definitely think it's going to help. And then also just going with AD. When you have a great player like AD,
right,
it's going to help you out a lot, and he's going to get a lot of open looks, and this is up to him to knock it down.
So a guy like Max Christie, tell us, what does his ceiling look like? When you see him, when you watch him play, who does he remind you of when you were playing in the league?
That's a good question. I would say Doug Christie, maybe. I don't know.
Just
because of the name Christie, I don't know.
There you go. Hey, Doug Christie can do a little bit of everything. Now he's coaching, so that's a good thing. All right, but let's talk about this because, CJ, we always know here on the show we love to talk about Bronny James. I'm curious. From your point of view, now Luka arrives in LA. Does this hurt or help the whole Bronny James narrative story, the whole build-up for him to finally become the NBA player we all hope and dream he can be?
I don't think this trade has really anything to do about Bronny. I think Bronny just has to worry about him. I think he's doing a great job so far. Just trying to get better, having fun with the game, and like I said, just developing as an NBA player. That's what he's done in the G League, and also when he's gotten time in the NBA. You've seen it night and day from when he first, his first game to now.
It's interesting because in the G, he's really starting to get a lot of footing. He's having that confidence. But yet when he goes up to the NBA, it's still a little flat-footed. There's not the same pop that we're hoping for.
Yeah, it's nervousness, it's nerves, and you're playing in front of your dad.
Right.
And one of the greatest players ever, so it's definitely, trying, and you're going in like a garbage minutes, right? So it's not like you're starting the game off 0-0, you're going off when you're either up 20 or down 20, so it's a lot different.
Okay, a couple other things here. So X's and O's wise, I really want to get to know inside the mind of a former NBA guy. So, Kyrie Irving and Luka, two ball-dominant guys playing in Dallas together. Now Luka goes to the Lakers, another ball-dominant guy in LeBron. How does this really work from an X's and O's standpoint when a guy like J.J. Redick is now going to try to reconfigure this team and figure out plays and how they're going to work together? Tell us how two ball-dominant guys like Luka and LeBron can coexist.
I think they're such willing passers, especially LeBron. I definitely think as he's getting older in his career, he's going to let Luka take some of that shine because they want Luka to be their franchise going into the future. So I definitely think they'll work. I definitely think they're going to be paired together a lot, and you'll see maybe LeBron in the corner some, and maybe setting a lot of picks like he's been doing, and Luka will find them because he's going to get a lot of attention. So obviously, it's just got to give the ball up, and I think they'll be a great pairing.
All right, last question here. We're talking about the general managers, Rob Pelinka with the Lakers, Nico Harrison with the Mavericks. Both teams think their teams got better.
Yeah.
Which team got better after this trade?
I think Dallas got better for the present. I think they're definitely a championship contending team. I think the Lakers got better for the future. They got their superstar in Luka.
There you go. Trade excitement captivating all sports fans. We'll see how this plays out for the Lake Show. More NBA G League Takeover for you after these words.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. Now it's time for our favorite part of the show, G of the Week, Gianna Hearn. Who is getting the honor this time?
I don't know if you guys remember Lynn's Sanity, but Jeremy Lin, for different reasons, he's the G of the Week this year. Not this year, this week, because he's going to be a coach, an honorary coach for the Rising Stars Challenge. He's going to be coaching the G League team, which makes sense because he played in the G League. He's one of the stars from the league coming out, and I'm really excited for him. He averaged 18.9 points when he was in the G League. He had 3 different teams. So for me, it's important that the G League team got a player who understands the G League to be their coach. And all the other coaches that are going to be part of this Rising Stars Challenge, they're not from the G League. So I think this was a really smart move for the NBA to get someone like Jeremy Lin, who's played in both leagues and really understands the G League stars and how they're grinding right now.
Hey, we all remember Lynn's Sanity. I think I was like in middle school. CJ, where were you during Lynn's Sanity?
I was playing. I didn't get to see the Lynn Sanity or feel the impact, but I got to see it just from like the highlights and stuff like that. But yeah, it was fun to watch.
Hey, that was such a great time in the NBA. So, G, fill us in on the other coaches that are going to be participating, because obviously this is going down in San Francisco, so there's a lot of Warriors legends being a part of this great event.
So Mitch Richmond, Tim Hardaway, and Chris Mullins. So obviously Chris Mullins, he's super involved right now in the Bay Area on TV, talking about the Bay Area teams. I think this is a really good amount of coaches and the type of caliber of coaches they got. Much like I said, Jeremy Lin being the coach for the G League team. The NBA got it right, I feel like, with this one.
Hey, pride of St. John's. Chris Mullin, great dude right there. And CJ, you were, it's fascinating because you actually were a part of that whole, when the Warriors, before Steph Curry, when they were getting a little bit of that juice during those Baron Davis years and all that stuff, you came in right after that, right?
Yeah, it was fun to play at Oracle. Mully was my GM, so I definitely, shout out to Mully. He's the one who signed me and got me out of the D League. So definitely, those are 2 great guys. Him and Mitch are definitely guys I look up to.
All right, there you go.
I got something to add. I don't want to cut you
We got 10 seconds.
Oh, well, he was the 100th call-up of the G League. I just want you to
Oh,
know that.
I was,
see,
yeah.
lucky number 100.
G does her homework.
I love it. There you go, guys. We'll see you next week here on NBA G League Takeover.